everyone, Spiritual Essence here. Last night was so much fun. It was me, my sister, her boyfriend, and my little cousin all giving out to the trick-or-treaters. And my grandpa, he stayed inside because he's little and he gets cold. My mom came over, and eventually my dad, once he gave out at our house, he came right over here. And it was fun. A lot of kids were spooked by my costume as a demon lord. And we started at about it was a little bit past 5:30. We all started going outside. And my sister had to work till 6. So we already saw a couple trick-or-treaters then. But then once it got into 6, there were big groups of kids. And I'm talking groups of 10, 20 people. Kids and their parents, and kids of all ages came by. It was awesome. It was so much fun, and it lasted till about 9 o'clock, and that's when the amount of children started to stagger off. And then afterward, when there were less kids coming, we all decided to take a walk around the block and see some of the houses that were lit up with the Halloween decorations. It was really nice. And then we went in after that, but it was really good. We had a lot of kids like we did last year, which was good because I feel like there aren't a lot of houses giving out now. Of course, candy's expensive. And also I don't feel like there's a lot of kids going out now because the trunk or treat thing is still big, and I don't know, just missing a piece of my childhood. But it's a new day. Let's see what else. Now, it's November 1st as of this video, but Halloween is still around. The energy is still around, because I feel like Halloween officially starts the last week of September, and it ends after the first week of November. So there's still around that time, there's still some energy that's still vibrating, because on Halloween, the veil between the physical world and the spirit world is supposed to be at its most thin. Well, it doesn't automatically just seal up, I feel, after Halloween. No, it still remains a little thin, and as the time goes on, it just starts to thicken up a little by little each day. And then after that, the energy starts to stagger off, and the seal between the two worlds is sealed tight once more. However, that tends to differ. I heard, if you wake up at 3 a.m., that means a spirit is in your vicinity, could be watching you or trying to make contact. Also, midnight, there's usually some energy around midnight, so that will change throughout the time, the thick or thinness of the veil. So, to me, it's still Halloween until after this new coming week. But we had so much fun. We gave out, so we bought 2 boxes of, they were mini bags of chips, and we gave those out to the children. And then my sister bought a backup bag of little nerd candies, which we all partook in some, and I took some Cheetos. But we went through both boxes, and then we started giving out the nerds to the little kids. But by then the amount of kids had staggered off. It was quite cold. Well, I was pretty, I'm a thick boy. Well, no, not boy, man. I'm a thick man. So I don't get cold very easily, and plus I was bundled up in a jacket, and I had my little cloak on, so I was plenty warm. I hope everyone had a good Halloween. Did you go to a party? Did you go out trick-or-treating? As a kid, I wasn't really invited to too many Halloween parties because I didn't really know that many people. And I think it was after high school, was the first Halloween party that I had been invited to in a long time. It was by some coworkers, which was fun. And then my ex, a couple years down the line, threw a Halloween party, and I went. So haven't gone to too many of those. And I went trick-or-treating up until my senior year of high school. You know why? Because free candy, that's why. I love me some candy. I love it. But I hope everyone had a happy Halloween. I just wanted to fill you in exactly what we all did. We had a good time. A lot of kids. And, you know, I would hate to see the number of kids throughout the years become less and less. So for those of you who may have kids, try to keep the traditions going. Go out trick-or-treating with your kids. If they're old enough to go with the friends, let them go. Because it's truly it is a magical time. Everyone says that Christmas is the most magical time of the year. Not for me. Halloween, that's my favorite holiday. Halloween. And it's so funny, as each costume that I saw, you could really tell. Like, you could read a lot about a person based on how they dress for Halloween. And of course, that can change depending on a number of factors. Like, for example, there were some parents that, you know, they didn't put a lot of effort into a costume. They were probably just, you know, dressing up to humor their kids. But there are some that didn't dress up at all. You know, they don't really care about any of that as long as the kid has fun. Those that were, there were little kids, some that were dressed as like princesses and fairies and Ninja Turtles. I saw one. There was some Power Rangers. All of those just shown pure innocence. It's kind of nice, actually, to know, you know, that the kid still has the imagination and the wondrous, you know, imagination needed to, you know, be an innocent kid. It's beautiful. And then you had some little kids that were dressed as more creepy creatures like skeletons and witches and goblins and all that good stuff. You could tell that they themselves were a little feisty. And, you know, there was one, I think he was a Power Ranger. He was trying to square up at some of us. You know, he was looking into my mask, and then I think he was wondering if I was like a decoration, because, you know, I was making slow movements, and then he looked into the eye holes of my mask, and I reached for him, and he went, "Whoa!" But my sister, who was dressed as Carrie, she scared the hell out of him. He said, "Hell no," which for a little kid to say, "Hell no," that we would have been whooped for saying that. And then, you know, there were adults sometimes, like we had one dressed as an axolotl with some of those little suits that like blow up. That was pretty cool. We had one dressed as like a shark. Some dressed as like a clown, like a funny clown, not a scary clown. You know, those are people who still know how to have fun. And of course, you know, the older kids that dress like spooky, scary things, you know, those are in touch with their inner dark side. When it's the little kids, you know, you could tell that they're starting to get in touch with a little bit of their dark side, but they're still little kids. So, you know, how much of a dark side could they possibly have? But with the adults, ooh, watch for those people. We had one guy dressed as a knight, and he was like walking stoically. He had like almost a full suit of armor on. And he was just walking silently and stoically. And as he passed, I said, "Good morrow, good sir." And he turned to me and he did that. I'm like, I love it. I love it. I love the, you know, when people take their costumes seriously. They take their role seriously. Like, if you're a monster and you go, "Rawr," you know, you try to growl. And I was using my deep voice. I said, "Candy for your soul." You know, really getting into it. So that was all a lot of fun. I love Halloween. If and when I have my own place, decorations are going to be out every year, and we'll change them up depending on the holiday weekend, but it's all going to be scary themed and all year round. They're lawn ornaments. They're just scary lawn ornaments. And you know, I've seen some people who had decorations out, which I know there's a lot of people who don't like decorate a whole lot because, you know, it's expensive to buy all that stuff. But I do appreciate the ones that try at least a little bit. You know, have like little pumpkins out on their porch, or, you know, some spooky lights. Hey, we all do what we must. But I've seen houses where they have like those blow up pumpkins and ghosts that are like silly and spooky and, you know, kid friendly. That wouldn't be me. No. If we have a ghost or pumpkins, we are going to try and make them as scary as possible. And that's how it would be. And, you know, I will definitely have this YouTube channel up by, you know, that time, and you will see it for yourself. But until then, I'm just going to have to keep working and saving. It'll come true one day. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell button so you don't miss any of my future uploads. Have a good day, y'all. Bye-bye now.